When a nation's strategic transport fleet surpasses 100 aircraft and its derivative aerial refueling tankers routinely perform airborne refueling with stealth fighters over distant seas, the outside world is often astonished by such leapfrog progress. But the truly probing question is, for an emerging air power with virtually no overseas military base network, yet global scale interests, how many large transport aircraft are actually needed to translate strategic projection into tangible battlefield capability? If the U.S. Air Force can sustain global hegemony with just 270 C-17 and C-5 aircraft combined, how far does the Y-20 fleet, having just crossed the 100 aircraft threshold, still fall short of the scale befitting a major power's strategic ambitions? From the perspective of pure strategic requirements and technological iteration logic, the figure of 300 aircraft may well represent the minimum threshold the Chinese Air Force must cross. To grasp the logic behind this figure, one must transcend simple equipment quantity comparisons and recognize the structural differences in the geopolitical military landscapes of China and the United States. The U.S. Air Force's 270 strategic transport aircraft never operate as an isolated numerical entity. Their operational effectiveness is underpinned by America's global network of military bases, from Ramstein in Europe to Kadena in East Asia, from Al Udeid in the Middle East to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. The U.S. military can pre-position heavy equipment and ammunition at potential flashpoints during peacetime. When conflict arises, sea transport often proves the more economical option, while airlift primarily serves as a last-mile accelerator. In contrast, China's overseas support-based system remains in its exploratory infancy. This means that for the foreseeable future, any emergency in distant regions will rely heavily on point-to-point long-range deployment originating from mainland China. For the thousands of kilometers across oceans from domestic airfields to mission zones, every drop of fuel and every bolt must be carried by the transport aircraft's own range. This deployment model imposes exponentially higher demands on fleet turnover efficiency, operational intensity, and absolute numbers. While the U.S. requires 270 aircraft to sustain its global base network, China's 300 aircraft fleet is designed to compensate for spatial disadvantages and overseas footholds, and fulfill the strategic imperative of direct mainland access. From a purely theoretical perspective, this figure is not excessive but rather a pragmatic baseline. Quantity forms only the foundation of deterrence. The generational leap in quality is the core variable defining the strategic value of 300 aircraft. The early Y-20 addressed the fundamental existence versus absence issue for strategic transport aircraft, but the power limitations of its Russian-made engines inevitably capped its potential. The true turning point arrived with the Y-20B, equipped with the WS-20 turbofan engine. This domestically developed high bypass ratio engine boosts thrust from the D-30KP2's roughly 12 tons to the 15-ton range, enabling a maximum payload capacity of 66 tons. This means it can carry main battle tanks on intercontinental flights without the need to remove armor for weight reduction, as was previously required. More intriguingly, its striking grill-type thrust reverser system introduces tactical innovation. It enables the Y-20 to execute short-distance rapid descents, and even perform on-the-spot turns, for departure from rudimentary dirt runways, or even field airstrips. This means the endpoint of strategic deployment is no longer confined to fully equipped civil aviation hubs, but can extend directly to rudimentary positions closer to the front lines. The true generational leap brought by the Y-20B lies in its evolution from a scheduled shuttle, dependent on advanced airports, to a tactical airlift express, capable of reaching the battlefield directly. This capability forms the cornerstone for the 300 aircraft fleet to deliver tactical effectiveness in future high-intensity conflicts. If transport aircraft are the logistics trucks of the strategic air force, then the tanker aircraft derived from the same platform serve as the endurance heart that determines how far this force can fly. This directly introduces the most formidable variant within the Y-20 family, the Y-20 tanker. While the J-20 and J-16 are hailed as the cutting edge of air power, without the Y-20 tanker's support, the operational range of these high-performance fighters would be severely constrained by their internal fuel limits. The so-called edge of the first island chain could then become their operational boundary. Official media footage reveals that the Y-20T has routinely conducted formation training with J-20S, J-16S, and even H-6N bombers. This "kiss in the sky" maneuver has evolved from a high-difficulty demonstration to a standard tactical operation. With a scaled fleet of Y-20 tankers, the PLOF's aircraft can now perform multiple aerial refueling relays in the sky. What was once unreachable distant seas has now become inland waters for routine patrols. This is far more than just a tanker, it is a physical range extender for national maritime control. Moreover, the strategic value of large platforms lies in their modification potential. With the Y-20's stable airframe and extended range, it provides an ideal carrier for next-generation large aircraft, like the KJ-3000 early warning aircraft, electronic reconnaissance aircraft, and even anti-submarine patrol aircraft. With early warning aircraft commanding the rear, tankers building energy bridges at medium altitude, and transport aircraft delivering heavy cargo to the front lines. These 300 large aircraft form not just a numerical tally, but a complete strategic deployment and battlefield control network. Some may question whether 300 units represent an excessive pursuit of quantity. Consider the practical application scenarios. In 2022, a formation of 12 Y-20s spanned the Eurasian continent, delivering the HQ-22 air defense system to Serbia, an operation that revealed China's strategic airlift potential. By 2025, the PLAF achieved intercontinental deployment carrying the Y-20 tanker and KJ-500 early warning aircraft, with fighter formations flying to Egypt for joint exercises. This operation validated the operational capability of the integrated air-to-air refueling plus airlift system. Fighter jets required continuous aerial refueling to reach North Africa, while the presence of early warning aircraft and transporters constituted complete combat elements. Future distant sea responses will not be solo performances by single aircraft types, but coordinated arrivals of integrated force clusters. Now consider recent U.S. military developments. The U.S. Air Mobility Command currently operates 222 C-17s and 52 C-5Ms. Facing potential multi-point crises, this scale is still considered the minimum threshold for maintaining global response capabilities. If China needs to simultaneously address potential developments in the Indian Ocean, South China Sea, and even farther regions, its current fleet size, just over 100 aircraft, clearly cannot support high-intensity, sustained long-range deployment demands. The target of 300 aircraft represents a conservative projection based on these multi-directional, high-intensity strategic expectations. From the perspectives of production capacity and industrial iteration, this goal is not pie in the sky. The Y-20 production line has long been operating at full capacity. Given the rapid pace of recent years, accumulating an additional 100 aircraft within 5 years is entirely feasible. The WS-20 engine still holds considerable potential for further upgrades, making higher thrust levels achievable. Once engine development is no longer constrained by external factors, production capacity can truly serve strategic needs. More importantly, the family of capabilities derived from this platform, whether the Y-20 tanker, future early warning aircraft, or electronic warfare variants, multiplies the battlefield value of each individual aircraft. The unveiling of the Y-20B model at the Dubai Airshow suggests China is already exploring export prospects for this platform. This indicates production line capacity has reached a level capable of balancing domestic needs and international sales, opening greater possibilities for domestic fleet expansion. Looking back over the 13 years since the Y-20's maiden flight, what has been accomplished is essentially a rite of passage, from technical validation to initial operational deployment. The 300-unit mark is merely a theoretical threshold that may shift with evolving circumstances. Yet the rapid deployment of the Y-20 family has already provided the answer. 100 aircraft are just the beginning. The real contest has only just begun.